Ladies and gentlemen. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing? Alright, I wanted to bring this to you because I've been following the Assange case for a long time, and the United Nations has finally heard the case and has actually gone so far as to rule on this case. So, let me tell you what is actually the story going on first. As we know, since about 2012, Assange has been held up in the UK Embassy. The United Kingdom, in Assange's situation, basically has tried to basically get him deported in a way because of a situation that was created, aka manifested mysteriously, after he took asylum there, from what I understand. And basically what had happened was they wanted to extradite, the United Kingdom wanted to extradite him to Sweden, where he's wanted on charges where he would basically be facing like 40 to 60 years in prison. So the United Kingdom and all its situation happened to, quote-unquote, stumble upon a sexual assault charge. And this just so happened to work well with them, needing to, what do I want to say? They basically, well, here's the situation. They basically needed to extradite him to Sweden. And now that they had a charge on file, they could now do so, and so they filed for a motion for arrest, and he's been in the embassy ever since. Kind of strange how that just happened to work out in their favor, almost like they had a government rule book that said, hey, we have authority now. Huh. Hey guys, did you know we have authority? Oh yeah. Boy, that works out well. So basically, the UN panel considered the case of Julian Assange, and has reportedly concluded with WikiLeaks founder it has been arbitrarily detained. Assange was granted political asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London in 2012 to avoid extradition to Sweden, which was basically the UK's go-to. You know, they can basically say, well, you either come with us, which they had an arrest warrant, or, you know, do something like that, and then at that point they have the authority to motion for him to be taken to Sweden. So where he would have now not one country, but two countries worth of charges, and we all know that the American government, I believe, also wants him on similar charges that Sweden wants him on. I've since not really done my homework on the count or anything, but he would have been facing close to like 40 years of imprisonment, most of which he basically, you know, one group or another, and for the most part, nobody really believes in any of the authority basically bashing back and forth. So it has come to the United Nations' attention that this needed to be heard. They have heard it, and they have since ruled in favor of Assange. This doesn't do much, though. They can rule in favor, and basically what the ruling does is it's a morality agreement is basically what it is. It basically stations an agreement of morality for the United Nations to rule in Julian Assange's position. It does not actually give authority to the United Nation or to the United Kingdom, to the Ecuadorian embassy in London, or to Sweden. Everyone is still technically there, and they still technically have authority. What I'm looking at is a feed from Twitter, And this is basically what I see. February 4th, GMT 2016. Should the United Nations announce tomorrow... Oh, so this is supposedly from him. That I have lost my case against the United Kingdom and Sweden. I shall exit the embassy at noon on Friday to accept by British police, as there is no meaningful prospect to further appeal. However, should I prevail and state parties be found to have acted unlawfully, I expect the immediate return of my passport. That's one of the things he hasn't had. I apologize for that. That was a detail I have overlooked. And the termination of further attempts to arrest me. I don't know exactly how I feel about this. I mean, eventually, Sweden's going to indict him. The United States is going to indict him. I haven't heard anything on the actual UK ruling on the assault. I have yet to hear a name of a person. I have yet to hear details. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying this is part of it that I don't know one way or another. And basically there is ERL, Justice for Assange. You get the idea. And basically, Assange was arrested on suspicion of in Sweden, and his extradition was ordered. Okay, cool. So, I don't know about all this. The thing that worries me is that they're basically using those to gain leverage on the, what do I want to say? There's a couple of different countries, including the United States, who want this guy on like 40 years worth of like, I forget what it's called. It's something similar to espionage due to all his leaking and all this other stuff. And reality is that this UN agreement or ruling doesn't stop the police from actually pursuing charges. So it's going to be interesting to know how, if at all, this UN hearing affects Assange's case and affects the outcome of the individual countries that basically want him for various things. Now, this is the first time I've actually heard about the sexual assault charges. It seems like nowadays they're getting everybody. I mean, Cosby's in on it, Clinton's in on it. There's a ton of people that are. And it seems like that's a go-to case whenever they have a hype man they can't bring down or a hype woman they can't bring down on other situations. That's just my opinion, but it always seems to be that set of perimeters. It doesn't seem to be anything less or more. And honestly, that's what it seems like. If you look at any of the major cases open, the United States government even has a supposed sexual assault case open on Alex Jones. I don't know the details of that. So they're always going to find somebody who will say, "Oh my God, yes, boo hoo hoo hoo." Yeah, look, here's something related to that. Look on the news. There's all these female teachers who are sexually dynamite. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. And who are taking advantage, I'm using quotes with my fingers, of their teenage students. Now, if they're like godhood level females, even if it's an issue of age, I mean, literally, are they really taking advantage, or are the kids technically taking advantage of their sexuality? I mean, I know how the law reads, but I mean, unless they're tying them up in basements and, you know, waterboarding them if they don't do stuff, I mean, from what I heard, it's all pretty innocent. Well, from what I've heard, could be cases where it's not, but this always seems to come back to this is how we trap these guys. This is how we get this done. So that it almost always seems like that. I think this is a go-to on file from any and all Leo groups. So basically, the United Nations has ruled in favor of Assange. I do not know how that will outcome his US, Sweden, UK, and other trials and cases thereof. So thank you very much.